Welcome to Principles of International Relations. I'm Hartmut Lenz. Today's video will be a short introduction to Principles of International Relations. What I want to cover in this video is not necessarily any content, but I would like to give you an overview what I want to do in this class, how it works from a practical perspective, and also what are the expectations of the outcomes and what I hope to achieve in terms of learning. So first, a short introduction of myself, in case you don't know me yet. As I just said earlier, my name is Hartmut Lenz, and I have been at Soka University for 6 years. I'm a professor of international relations. Before coming to Soka and also to Japan, I worked as a Leverhulme Fellow at the London School of Economics in the UK. Before that, I was a John F. Kennedy Fellow and Research Fellow at Harvard University at the Minda de Gunsberg Center for European Studies. And right after my PhD, I worked as a lecturer and Nuffield Fellow at Oxford University. So I do have experience in my career at different institutions, and I taught in different regions of the world. I must say I really enjoy teaching at Soka University more generally and at Phila specifically, because students are really engaged and interested and very active in kind of gaining knowledge and participating and discussing the topics of the day. And that is something which I hope we will be able to do in this specific course as well. I hope really to, and at one hand, enable you to understand political topics more conceptually. At the other hand, to kind of entice you to kind of look more carefully at political events. Why? Because I feel that they are not just these kind of abstract issues which come in the news and which are not really relevant for daily life, but I rather think that they affect us in many ways we don't immediately kind of consider. Of course, this becomes obvious if we look at the current pandemic and the treatment of this pandemic, something which has been challenging for all of us, and it shows how global issues, global diseases, but also other issues can be affecting our kind of micro level of our life in very substantial ways. Well, what I want to do next is to actually kind of talk a little bit how I structured this course and how I developed it. And the first question I often get from students is, what is the textbook? And I'm really afraid, but I don't really have a textbook for this course. There are certain kind of books which are really important, which I will use in the class. Maybe the one textbook which is the most prominent is World Politics from Harvard University Press. We have it on our list, and we will use it frequently. But it's not necessary that you buy this book. Why? You can, of course, if you want to have an overview. But the important part of it is that all the necessary readings will be provided to you via our portal site. And a lot of the works we are reading are not necessarily textbook material, but rather kind of research articles. The reason I'm doing this is, for the first place, I want to be current. I want to kind of discuss the topics which are kind of studied and researched at this moment in the world. And lots of these kind of work has not been published in textbooks. The other thing is that I want to and not just engage you in cutting-edge research, but also kind of look at it from a practical perspective. What does this mean for us? What does it mean for the world? So the course in itself has 3 different kind of parts. The first part is about theories. So I will talk about basic concepts of international relations theory and kind of make you understand what the different concepts mean, but also what kind of from what kind of angle they look at the world. And we will talk about realism, liberalism, several forms of constructivism, and in these kind of different prisms, so to speak, different angles, how to look at the world, we find also kind of emphasis of different kind of parts of the international system, international politics, which are varying across the different kind of theories. So we will not find this kind of one truth where we say like this is how the world works, but rather we will find it different perspectives highlight different aspects of how the world works, and we are bringing them together in order to understand it in a more coherent way. In the second part, I will look at specific kind of issues which are very prominent in understanding international cooperation and international conflict. So we will look at negotiations, we will look at wars, we will look at some issues of collaboration like environmental issues, etc. And so we will kind of look at them from a conceptual perspective as well, and from a practical perspective to kind of see like what do theories tell us about these kind of problems and what happens in reality. And the last part will be very much about new frontiers of research in international relations. And in this part, I will go into current topics like environmental issues, international law, other aspects like this, which are kind of very at the front of current research and are important to understand for us to cope with basically the field of international relations. So the whole idea of this concept of the course is to give you at the one hand the basics, but also to introduce you at what is going on in the field at the moment, to give you an overview over this, and so that once you come out of this course, you know what are the key topics and what are the key concepts to solve these kind of topics. In the second part, I will now talk about rather the practical aspects of this class than the course content. Hybrid course. So we will have some components which are in-class teaching, very much as you have experienced in before the pandemic hit us, or if you haven't experienced it yet, how teaching is traditionally done at university. This will be one class per week. But there is also a hybrid aspect to this class, and that means that if for whatever reason you can't attend the in-class sessions because you're not in the country, or for other reasons you can't come to Soka University, we use technical facilities to incorporate you as well, so you can online join these sessions as well, and really kind of participate in the classes. This is not meant for students who are actually in Hachioji and decide to do the class from home. It is rather kind of for students who really can't come for whatever reason. So don't just kind of use this option as a convenience, but rather kind of it is seen as a necessity if it is not possible for you to come to university. So this will be one session per week. Another session will be an e-lecture. So very much like this introduction video, I will kind of record an e-lecture which kind of introduces you in a lecture style to these kind of concepts. I will use the slides which are available from the portal site, and this video will also be available on our portal site but also on other parts of the thing, like our Padlet site, which I will just introduce in a minute. So this e-lecture is also an integral part where actually I try to convey the content of the specific week's work to you. So in-class session and e-lecture are complementary to each other and are really vital parts of this class and need to be both used. There are also other aspects of the course which I would like to introduce to you. First of all, this e-lecture will be available in different outlets. As I mentioned already, it will be available on our Padlet site. It will also be available on our portal site from the university. I will make a YouTube channel, and I also try to make a podcast of the audio version of this lecture, so you can listen to it if you are not able to actually watch the video. So the reason I do this is to make it as accessible as possible for you, so that we really make sure you're listening and watching these kind of videos. The third part, which I think is really important for this class, is a site called Padlet, and this kind of could be, if you're not familiar with it yet, it could be seen as a kind of online blackboard. On this side, we really kind of look at everybody can write and comment on topics. I will kind of convey information there, kind of share some links to videos, but also to our lectures and ask questions, etc. But everybody else can do the same. And so I want to encourage you to actually write on this page, write questions there, answer, comment on other people's questions or discussion points, share information you found in other places on the internet, like documentaries, research papers, etc. So you can use this Padlet site as a community of this class where we share information around the topic. One of the expectations I have over the works you should do in this class is to give a presentation, and that will be a group presentation during our in-class sessions. The idea here is not only that you kind of convey your knowledge about the topic, but also that it engages everybody and that we can kind of facilitate discussion between the group which is presenting and the audience in itself. So we have this kind of dynamic discussion going on there. And so these kind of different aspects should highlight that one of the most important parts for myself is to engage in discussing this topic. It's not just me conveying information to you, but rather that we are actually having an active discussion, because I think that's the best way to learn this topic. Something which a lot of students are really interested in knowing as well is how do I evaluate this kind of class. And the two of the aspects I already mentioned. The first one is that you actively participate in class, actively participate in the discussions on the Padlet. I will also do some kind of Kahoot, questionnaires just to spice up things. This is more for fun than actually a kind of real evaluation. But I will do kind of these different aspects. And the reason here is really to engage you in discussion and to engage you in the class rather than kind of just receiving information. The second thing is your presentation. As I mentioned before, this is also, again, to kind of have a part of active learning in this course. And the last part will be a take-home exam, which is where you have a selection of different kind of topics, and you have to answer you have to select two of the questions to answer. And they will be answered in an essay style. If you're not familiar with it at this point, don't worry, we will discuss what this means in more detail throughout the semester, but this will be due at the end of the class, and will be, of course, one of kind of contributions you will do and main parts of your grade. If you have any questions about this class before we start, you can reach me at lens@soca.ac.jp. I look very much forward to seeing you all in class. I hope it will be an enjoyable class. It is in a way an extra class because I will leave to Harvard University in the fall. This course is normally only taught in the fall, but I will kind of do an extra class this term because I will not be around in the fall. And so you don't necessarily need to take it this term because Professor Popovsky will do a similar course in the fall on the regular schedule, but nevertheless I really hope seeing you. So take care, and I hope you enjoy the nice weather, and until we see in class or online. Till then, bye bye.